I had the opportunity to sit down with James Bartle, the founder of Outland Denim. James was such a legend and actually used to race motocross in his earlier days as well. And how he built this brand on such a massive purpose and why was so inspiring, and seeing what his journey to sustainability, the reasons why he started Outland Denim, and to stop sex trafficking and, creating jobs for people in Cambodia with his factory. It's just insane. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it now. It was, just hearing his story and why he does what he does, and what we do here at LSKD, it really gives you that purpose and what you're doing. And man, what he's doing is phenomenal. And I just congratulate him. He's so inspiring to be around and just to sit down with him for an hour and have a chat. So hope you guys got a lot of value out of this podcast. I certainly did. It was such a cool chat. Feel free to hit me up if you have any questions. Share the podcast to friends. We're trying to grow the community and get ourselves out there and share as much value as possible through this channel, and at the same time have some fun with it along the way. Where were you? Because you were just in Cambodia again.
No, in the US. Yeah, I just got back.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Cambodia before that.
Cambodia before that, and yeah, that's right. Last time we spoke, that's where I was. Yeah.
How long did you have to spend there?
I was only there for a month, and then
only a month.
Yeah, well, it's a long time. Hey, I got a wife and 2 kids, so yeah, it's too long.
It's tough,
but it's a lot of back and forward.
Yeah,
and then obviously with other markets, it's I'm finding myself spending more time in the US and now a little bit in the UK as well.
Yeah, that's great. How long do you spend out of the country?
Last year 7 months of the year I was out of the country, and this year probably about 6.
Yeah, wow. Wow. That's awesome. Does the family get to travel with you much?
Last year they spent 3 months with me in Cambodia. But this year it's more, I'm away for 2 weeks, I'm home for 2 weeks, and then I'm off again. So it's too hard because my eldest is in school now. So no, it's a taxing lifestyle. Traveling. It sounds romantic, but when you sit in airports most of your life, it's not so fun.
Doing emails and running the business from the airport.
From the airport, from your phone half the time. It is a challenge.
Well, you're doing a great job at it.
Well, we're getting there. We've got a long way to go.
As we all do. Yeah. Hey, so I mean, appreciate you coming on the show, man. It's we've been planning this for a few months now. And I know you have a busy schedule at the same time. So, I mean, tell me, how did this start? Because I know you used to race motocross as well. So you come from a background of sports and being an athlete and trying to make it at that level. Yeah. Kind of what you said before. How did it start? Give me the story.
Well, I was actually phenomenal. Yeah, well, the first thing is I watched the Liam Neeson film Taken, and this was in 2008. And I remember leaving the movies that night just being really impacted by it, because at the end of the movie it had some title come up on the screen just saying that these things really happen around the world, where women are trafficked, human beings are trafficked, stolen, sold, and although a fictional film, Liam Neeson's daughter was taken and sold for sex. And I just remember leaving and thinking, man, I'm going to start some sort of vigilante and go and eradicate these kinds of human beings from the face of the planet. And my wife was very quick to remind me that I didn't have the combat skills that would be necessary. And,
I felt like it after I watched that movie. Don't worry.
It's crazy. So I guess that's what really spiked my interest. But then I was doing a freestyle motocross show at an event, and there was an organization there that were promoting what they did, and they were a rescue agency that focused on identifying underage girls that had been sold into the sex industry in Asia. And so I hopped on a plane and flew over there with them, and it was on that trip that I just saw a little girl for sale, maybe 12 or 13. And
that's tough.
It's when you see that with your own eyes, and you see the fear in her eyes, it's it was a life-changing moment for me, and I was 100% committed to, from that moment, doing something.
100%. And I mean, what did you do straight after that? Because it's been like, I have a little one now, and just hearing that is, it's $150 billion. I didn't realize it was $150 billion industry.
That's right. Slave. Yeah, it's a huge industry. It's the fastest growing criminal activity in the world. And, believe it or not, it happens here in Australia. It's happening, people are being trafficked through all these major airports right the way around the world. And
you don't even know.
No, you don't know. They could be walking past you. And so it's become an issue that's getting more global attention, and therefore we're becoming more educated as to what to look for.
Yeah.
But like you, I have 2 little girls, and it becomes all the more real when you know what you would do for your own children. There's no end to what you
die
would do.
for them.
Yeah. And I think of a lot of these vulnerable women that we're trying to help is it's not that they don't have a father that cares or loves them. It's that they've been placed into a position of vulnerability beyond what we can probably even comprehend here in Australia. And as a result, they find themselves in terrible situations that completely destroys lives. And our job is to be able to come and eradicate that problem from the face of the planet. And so for us, looking for, opportunities to do that was the first step. And we chose Denim. And it's
and how did you choose Denim? Like, how did that come about?
Well, I just didn't want to have a t-shirt brand. I lived on the Gold Coast, and it was like every second person I knew had a t-shirt brand, and it's like, man, that's just the last thing I want to do.
Hey, we're in that space too. Don't worry, it's well diverted.
Yeah, look at you though.
Look at you.
Right? Yeah. Oh well, it was. I guess for us, Denim was something that is in everybody's wardrobe as well. It's the probably one piece of fashion that's really not changed in 150 years. And and we didn't realize at the beginning that it was also the most competitive market and hardest to crack. And so that naivety, I guess, was one of our strengths, and being able to go, well, we're going to create something different. And we spent 6 years developing our business model and our product and spending and investing into that before we even launched our brand at the end of 2016. So it was
people don't realize the work that goes in behind the scene. I know so much. Especially when you're an entrepreneur, you're grinding every day. It doesn't come out of your mind.
It doesn't change. And I think, if you knew what it was really going to cost, you wouldn't attempt it.
100%.
Yeah.
I know that. Why was I getting into this?
Yeah.
It's a passion, but where?
Yeah.
What?
But you're a great example of, success can, it does follow that. And it's, it's that grind and being, if it was handed over easily, none of us would be good at anything, and it's it's the challenges that we face, which, builds the resilience that we need to be able to weather the storms, whether that's a GFC or whatever it is. We can come back from it and become stronger as a result of how hard it actually is to get here.
Yeah, exactly. And you said, 6 years of development. Was that in the Denim itself within the processes, or how to, because I mean, what you did from going on that first trip, you're pulling girls off the street and giving them jobs, which is phenomenal. How did you start that process?
Well, we aligned with an NGO group, a non-government organisation in Cambodia that specialised in the identification and rescue of these women, and worked alongside them. And we were told that a lot of the women that would go into these kinds of programs that would find themselves in a worse position after, because there's no employment. And so really we knew employment had to be the solution. And what did that look like? In the beginning, we had no idea. It was literally, okay, well, we'll give a couple of these people a job and see. And so I was running my business back here in Australia and using that to fund this process and track, did it change anything? And to begin with, we started doing everything the wrong way. We were paying them way too much. We weren't holding them to account for anything. We treated them with absolute pity. And actually what we were doing was making things worse for them. And so over those coming years, we really started to learn on if we're genuine about wanting to help the people versus have a great marketing angle, then we've got to change what we do. And so we quickly became a brand that was built on, there's three major pillars that really define us. And that's that we're giving them education, training, and living wages. And really, I guess the fourth thing is that we're giving opportunity to women that wouldn't necessarily get an opportunity to have a job. Maybe they may have a disability, they might only have one leg, or might be crippled in some way. And so therefore, they're at the top of the list of vulnerable people to be sold. A range of them have come from being trafficked into other countries and brought back into Cambodia. So they work with us, and we've set up where they can be close to their families. So I guess that process of learning, what does it really take to create the social impact that we started this for, took years, but it was only about 3 years in when we really started to notice the difference. And one of the testimonies of one of the women that worked there was that she had been able to build a home for her family, and they lived under a plastic sheet previously. And
she'd go to work every day from living under a plastic sheet,
being under a plastic sheet to to going to work and then working hard to save and to build a future. She built a home for her family.
That's
they were able to live in it. And, we're blown away at this, because you don't even know all this backstory, because they're very...
well, they won't talk about it.
They don't know. And then she said
Such
she was
humble
also...
people.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she was also able to buy her sister back from a man that owned her. And,
wow.
That's just real life for those people. And it's our
We
responsibility.
don't realize how lucky we are.
No, we don't. We don't. But we're lucky enough that if we create business models that can automatically have an impact on people versus I need to create some sort of give back program or, become a charity. I mean, there's a place for all of that, but that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to create something that genuinely changed people's lives just by existing. And that's what we've always focused on with our brand is if people love our product and we go, if you don't love our product, we don't want you to buy it.
Yeah.
We only want you to buy it if you love it. And if you love it, talk about it. And if you want to talk about it, that's fantastic because the next person is then introduced. And it's been this real grassroots kind of momentum that we've gained.
Yeah.
And the cherry on top is that somebody's life has been changed in the process of bringing that to the market.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Man, very touching. I mean, to sell the first pair of denim, I mean, you started the girls' work, like you've given them jobs. People probably don't realize when you say you've given them jobs, you built a factory over there, right? Like
Yeah.
You have your own factory. You've got your own staff. That's where you went for 4 weeks to hire a new manager.
Yeah, exactly.
How does that go? I mean, we have suppliers we work with in China and we have great relationships. We go visit them, but we don't own the factory, right?
Yeah.
Like this is your factory you've built. So it's insane. I mean, I'm hoping we collab one day, right?
Yeah.
We can
Absolutely.
We can make your denim
Yeah.
for LSKD and do a collab off the record. But
On
I
the
mean,
podcast.
how did we'll play that. How did you go about starting the factory and obviously you got some help, but to do those process, you had to live over there a lot and travel back and forth. Was it hard with having employees over there and staff and managers to then trying to grow the brand and market it and build it and show build what you're building and then have that back there running to make sure you can keep them in jobs and how did you do that?
That was, I guess, again, the naivety really was what played to our advantage is that we didn't realize. And so every step it's like, okay, well, you couldn't see 10 steps down the road. It was like the next thing we need to do is this. And so you'd always just do whatever you had to do to be able to get it across the line. And so managing staff in another country was challenging. The cultural differences was probably the biggest thing, and still to this day is one of the greatest challenges we face is, the way we communicate as an Australian versus the way they communicate as a Cambodian person is very, very different. And I don't just mean language, I just mean the cultural differences of when I say this and the way they understand.
Yeah.
Navigating that and being able to make our way through that barrier has I guess been the difference in success and failure. Being willing to go, well, our culture isn't always better.
Yeah.
We kind of, as a Westerner, have this inbuilt thing that we think that we can solve their problems.
Yes.
Well, really what we need to do is just stop creating problems for them, And so if we weren't in these countries taking their resource, and in most countries like Cambodia, it's the human resource that they have, cheap labor. And so we go in and exploit this as the West so that we can have what we want to build our kingdoms back here. And so I guess our philosophy is that we want to be somebody that invests into it. So when we're in their community, we want to leave it in a better state after we were there than before we were. So I guess that mentality has been a big part of being able to be successful in working and owning our own factory. Also working with professionals that local professionals that understand the culture and that will advise us on, we've got a cultural advisor that works for us. She's on staff, paid to do exactly that, so that we
to
don't
help educate the staff on why this is here and creating jobs in the community and
that's right. But and equally educate our Khmer staff on how we operate as an Australian company and what that means, and so that it's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street, and we need to work together really well, and we do. We've got the most incredible culture where these women. I mean, I've heard stories of these women going and buying fabric and setting up seams, helping somebody set themselves up as a seamstress on the street. Like this pay it forward mentality, and I think for me that's the ultimate win when you are able to give the opportunities for them to be successful on their own. And then for them to take what they've learned, been given and earned, and pass that on to somebody else that has these
To help
challenges
them
that they
grow.
once had,
Yeah.
So that's how I believe, communities and, potentially countries one day can be changed, is through this kind of business model where we're not pitying them, and it's not a handout. You've got to work really hard for this, but we're going to give you everything you need to be successful. And the reality is, some will and some won't.
Yeah.
Just like here in Australia, some are prepared to work and some are not. Those who are prepared to work can change their lives, and we just see it every single day. Working with the staff we have, and we've brought in new cultures. We've got a Turkish R&D guy that's working on our washing now and sustainability, and so you're bringing Turkish cultures in with American,
working together.
Americans,
It's
Australians, Turkish, Cambodians, Dutch. We've got all these cultures coming together in the two facilities that we've got there. It's amazing. Like it's really cool to see the best. You get to see the worst too, but seeing the best of those cultures come out and really develop
And
us.
learning to work together.
Yeah.
To create something bigger.
Yeah.
That's really cool. How often do you go back there? Like often?
Yeah, I'm back and forth all the time. I haven't been back for about 8 weeks now, I think.
Yeah.
And I'll be back in November, and hopefully that rounds out my travel for the year.
Yeah. Spend some time with the family.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to a December at home.
Yeah, that's cool. And to put it into context, how many girls have you been able to pull off the street and give them jobs and careers?
So we have around 100 staff over there now.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and we've just started employing some guys as well. So there's a couple of guys that have been, held on a boat off the coast of Thailand, and so it's really cool. That's a realization of a bit of a dream for me, is to start to see that evolve as well. And there's a long way to go. We're certainly still learning a lot, and
you're playing your part massively.
I think
it's so inspiring.
Yeah, but it's trying to set, really all we're doing at the moment is proving that it works. We're proving this model, and our goal is that, we'll be able to in the future manufacture, maybe for brands like yourselves.
Yeah.
And, we want to be able to go and expand and employ as many people as we can, because our bottom line really is bums on seats. How many people can you give this opportunity to? And if you can expand that to the size of, your traditional denim factory might be 1,000 to 5,000 people working in that. If this model could work and employ that kind of volume of people, the impact would be huge. Because it could be 10 people for every one that are directly impacted by that job, and then that
impacts
flows
10 people.
Exactly. So it becomes really big really quickly.
Yeah.
On an impact level, but then the environmental side of what we're doing is equally as important. And partway through this journey, we discovered that you can't say you care about people if you don't the environment. And we started to learn about the challenges that fashion face, being, depending on which report you listen to, being between the second and fifth worst polluters on the planet. And we've all seen the images of the different color rivers from it's indigo dye or whatever the next seasonal color is. Indigo dogs of India. Like crazy images that we see from around the world, and the Rana Plaza tragedy, and that happened on the social side, and so many issues that fashion is faced with. And I think that creates an incredible opportunity for us to be able to change the way that things are done. To be able to come up with a new model, and that's really our goal. And so on an environmental level, that meant we had to have huge investment into sustainability, which meant laser and ozone washing, and those things that use no water or less water, and the chemicals that we use in the dyeing of the indigo needs to be organic or vegetable, and the same with the chemicals used in the washing processes. They've got to be organic. And so I think when you think about it, your skin is the largest organ on your body, and we place these toxic chemicals on them every day through the clothing we wear. And so if you can produce it better, you might want to cut this bit out. If you can produce it better, why wouldn't you? So that's where we've got to evolve.
And as I was saying before, we're on our steps to, with Project Earth that we're running, and we're learning and trying to improve ourselves. We're not perfect, but we really want to understand that and learn, and we're the whole team's behind it. We've got all these setting these goals, over the next 12 months, and we're about to release something with our little Project Earth that we're really focused on for that side, because you want to learn it. I totally agree. I think it's something, that's why I went to a team of us went to China this year to visit our suppliers, and we walked through the factories to learn more and understand how there can be improvements for us, because no one knows this stuff, and like you're saying, like I never got in this industry and to understand. I got in because it was a passion, and then you start becoming you start to grow, and then you start to really understand it, and you're like, it's a huge, huge impact you can make to learn. It's and a lot of brands are making those steps to sustainability.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's just understanding why and how it helps. I mean, you guys are so far forward with that and what you have achieved.
But I guess, look, to highlight, we're not perfect either.
Yeah.
Nobody is at the moment. But I think the goal should be like having our eyes set on how do we become perfect, or how do we,
Just
reduce the
every
impact.
day.
Yeah. And it is step by step. And I think, the more of us that work together to come up with those outcomes it will happen. I'm encouraged in the denim industry, the major brands that are willing to work together. We're on have a couple of seats where we're working with big companies like G-Star and with Global Fashion Agenda and those sorts of organizations where companies are prepared to come together and talk about solutions,
which is great.
Yeah.
You need to. Everyone has their own consumer and what they stand for in their market. It's like, why not work together to help each other improve this? Because it puts an appreciation for brands. I think it's working together is more important. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. And collaboration isn't as scary today. It used to be really scary, sharing our secrets. There's not that many secrets, let's face it.
No.
It's really just, are we committed to the change or not? And
putting the hard work in.
To
make it happen.
Exactly right. I'd always say that I think, the solutions for the environmental challenges that we do face, that the solutions I don't believe are going to be that difficult. I believe that it's just going to take somebody or a number of brands or manufacturers to invest into the solutions in the same way we've invested into all other technology. Richard Branson can create a rocket to fly to the moon. I mean, if that can be done, we can solve this
the
this
money
issue.
Can be spent on that. It can be spent on making change.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And now people are aware of the problems.
Context.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. That's really cool. And I suppose... what's a day in the life look for you? I mean, you live off your phone, like you're traveling with your phone. How does it work for you as a day in the life as, someone that's doing what you're doing around the world? Because going back, you were saying like you're traveling to the US, you're in US stores. How many stores are you in around the world now? Because you guys have done an amazing job in the PR you guys are receiving around the world too. Yeah,
I mean, it's been insane. I mean, so we had we'd launched in Canada, and we launched with their two major departments. So Harry Rosen's, Holt Renfrew, sort of premium department stores there, which was mind blowing for us to just see those kinds of retailers get behind us and want to stock our products. And then we had a few little independents, and we really wanted to focus on department stores though, which is very different to the majority of brands in the way that they would go to the market. And then we signed with David Jones here in Australia, and we'd only just signed with David Jones, and Meghan Markle jumped off an aeroplane wearing our jeans.
It's a question I was going to ask
you
about.
Yeah.
Because I followed that whole journey. It was so cool.
It was insane.
I used to love suits as well.
Yeah, did you? Yeah. Of course you did.
Yeah.
But
not anymore. She's offered.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's still worth watching. But that blew us up, and then we had department stores all the way across the world contacting us and inquiring about stocking them. And I mean, that's only 12 months ago, so we're in that transitional period of going into more stores. We're stocked in Myer, and we're now moving into the US as well, and we've gotten some pretty incredible conversations happening there that hopefully come across the line. And
that's awesome.
And as we see those things realized, I guess for us it's the independents offer something very different to what the department stores offer, and the independent stores they're able to tell the story, which is really powerful. And so we see really good sell through with an independent store.
Because they treat it like your own. They're talking like they're your ambassadors.
Yeah, and they really are. As they understand that story and they realize that they're the ones having the direct impact on the people that we employ.
Yes.
And their families. That's powerful for them. And that's their way of being a part of this journey. And that's really what we want our customer.
And so how do you get the department stores to think like that? Talk.
Yeah, and we all know the challenges with department stores, and some are better than others. Got to say, like likes of David Jones have done a fantastic job of supporting us as a brand and
awesome.
And being able to highlight our story where they're able to.
Yeah.
And then the job is the brand. It's our job to go. We have to see that this sells through for our independent and department store retailers, and if we're committed to that and we do the day in and the day out, the grind on that, it works. And it's only people just need to be educated that we're there. They can find it there. And then how do we support that retailer to tell that story? And for us, it's been putting little bits and pieces in our jean and, our swing tags, highlight parts of the process of what's been used in producing the product, and then inside our jean is a thank you printed on the pocket, which is from one of the women that have produced the product. So, it's
awesome.
those little bits that help sell a product. And I think, as you know, like the consumer has changed rapidly over the last 2 years, but particularly maybe in the last 6 months here in Australia, it really feels like it's started to get some major traction. The sustainability shopper, which is becoming mainstream, and it's kind of becoming the cool thing. Yeah. Whereas once upon a time it was something else that was what was being looked for. But millennials now are very connected to story and purpose, and 100%. And if as a brand we can't tell them a story or engage them on something they care about, it's going to be very hard to make sales. And so for us, I think that's why we've been very lucky, is that our story is real. We started for the impact. We didn't start for the brand. We just so happen to be passionate about denim. You tacked on
the brand to help give that impact.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And going back to a day in the life, because you're still on the road selling a lot as well, and then you've got your team running the show.
Yeah, I don't really sell...
As in just visiting?
Yeah, so I will visit. I would open a new region.
Yes.
So for me, it'll be, if we're going into the US, I'll go in and I'll do the press and the media around that, and then also work with the retailers. And then our brand manager is then very heavily involved in how that comes together. Yeah. And so he sort of then manages it all from there. And then it goes into, obviously, our sales channels and how we're going to manage that, and our marketing people then get involved in that part of it. So for me, it's really, I'm on a dealing on a the not getting into as much detail with those guys, but my life is aeroplanes and traveling to a new region and hotel rooms and sitting there bored. I can remember landing in Cambodia.
Don't tell your wife that.
Yeah. Well, that's not where I was going with that.
No, I'm joking.
I remember landing back in Cambodia. We had a unit there, and on this last trip, and because I knew I was away for 4 weeks, which is 2 weeks is usually, I try to make my maximum time away in one hit. Yeah. And I remember there going and opening the cupboard and seeing, my girl's teddy bear still in the cupboard from, when we were there last, and, having maybe a little bit of a teary moment, just thinking, I just find it really challenging, this part of the business, from the outside, it looks like fun, but, I get anxious before every time I go away, knowing I'm going to miss my family. And I know it's sucky, but it's 100%. I find it really, really hard.
And it's that purpose that's driving you to know you're creating something bigger and inspiring your family too. I mean, I've been following your journey for a while now and watching what you do. You travel a lot, and like you said, from the outside, it looks like wow. Yeah. But from the inside, and now having a family myself, it's like wow. Like even being away for. We recently went to Tony Robbins on the weekend for 5 days, my wife and I, and just being away from your little one for that long. Yeah. The first night's like, cool, we get a good night's sleep, right?
Yeah.
As everyone sort of say that, but it's tough, like you do miss that. So for being away that long and, you miss those little moments, it's tough. But you're creating such a big purpose. It flows hand in hand, and your kids get to experience something that you're making a change in the world.
Oh man, it's like, we pulled my eldest, who's at school, out of school for 3 months last year when we were in Cambodia as a family, and she did go backwards in her schooling, but I can remember coming home one night and there's a little girl rummaging through a bin, and she's like, "Oh, Daddy, what's she doing that for?" And I said, "Oh, darling, not every little girl has everything that you have. They don't have food, or might even have somewhere to live. They definitely don't have toys." And we go up to the unit, and she goes and gets her toys. She asks if we can go back downstairs. We go back downstairs. Wow. She finds them and gives her toys away to this little girl. And now, for
that's
me,
bigger than schooling, bro.
Oh man, you can't teach that. You know, she needs to be exposed to the reality of the world.
That's bigger than schooling.
Yeah,
that's real life experience. Yeah. And to have a heart like that already from learning what you guys are doing.
Man, it's like I'm sitting there trying not to start weeping as she's handing these toys over, just like. Wow. And the thing is, for her to really get it has to cost her too. Yeah. I can't just go and buy new toys tomorrow. It actually has to cost her. Yeah. And she's such a beautiful little thing that she's.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Does she help? Do they help out at the factory when they were there for the 3 months?
Not really. I mean, they walk through, and all the ladies are so beautiful to them, and want to pinch their cheeks and give them a cuddle. But mate, it's it's just part of our life. She talks about the denim, or they can't even pronounce it properly, but it's just beautiful. So cool. It's just every day. This is who we are and what we do, and It's our life. I mean, the very first ladies' jean we produced is our Isabel jean, and it's named after my eldest daughter. And then the first short we produced is our Emmy jean, named after my second. And they're
cool.
proud of that they're named after them. And
and
cool.
Like you said before, because it becomes a part of you. Because I know like our life revolves around this brand LSKD, and we live and breathe it. My wife's, we've been together for 11, 12 years now. So it's since we're 18, so she's grown up and been a part of it, and just becomes a part of life, right? Where it's just, and it's now a little one, it's like they get to experience that. Yeah. But I suppose one thing, what did you do before this? Were you what was your were you involved in fashion in any way? I mean, I was a carpenter, and I had no experience in this industry and had to learn it from a huge passion. But how did you get into what did you do before that?
Well,
one of the girls at the office asked me to ask. She's
cool.
like, she's like, what did he do beforehand? Because what he's done is amazing. So,
well, again, it's because I didn't know what I was doing that I think we've been able to have a little bit of success, and because I didn't know the way it was meant to be done. But
you pretty much nailed that.
It is. Hey, it's But I had a metal fabrication and powder coating business, and so that's how we sort of got it off the ground. Just used that, and before that it was freestyle motocross shows, and before that I wanted a career as a racer. Wasn't good enough to make any money from it, and
I was the same, bro.
And so I had to hang up my boots, and I stopped riding about maybe 6 years ago. One of our team riders passed away at an event, and my wife was pregnant. Tyrone, and my wife was pregnant with our eldest, and I just went, and I haven't ridden a bike since.
Really?
Yeah. Well, not on a ramp or around a track. And it just became more apparent to me as to why I do what I do. Life is short, and Tyrone is such a powerful kid in my life. Like, just watching.
He was a cool kid.
Oh man, really unique and passionate and crazy, and my wife and I wanted to adopt him. I met him a few times. He's such a cool kid. And he'd always say he'd tattoo these stupid things on his legs, and they were just such the worst tattoos, and you'd say, why are you doing that? He's like, I won't live that long anyway. Like, he'd always say stuff like that, like he was just so out there. He was all or nothing kind of kid, and there's something about that I really respected. It's that he just threw himself into his sport in such a way that
just went all in.
He went all in, and he did pay the ultimate price for it, but I don't think he'd regret it. I really don't. No. He was that guy, and
he was one of the best of the best that quick, because he put all his energy
everything into it. And I think for me on this journey, I'd take a lot from that experience of watching him progress so quickly and be prepared to risk so much for it. And I guess if I tie that back into what I do today, it's like, how far am I prepared to go, and what am I prepared to risk for it? And that's a really confronting question when you think about some of the challenges that you do face in the realms that we work in outside of fashion, the people we work with, and the people that impacts, and the challenges that creates is
you're creating
scary.
A massive impact on the industry, and what's of what you're doing. So there's going to be challenges along that journey, because you're pushing the boundaries of some of the biggest denim brands in the world.
That's our goal. That's I guess one of the big wins for us would be that just to see industry change, and for us to be able to do that, you got to prove that it can be done a better way, and it can also be profitable. And so we don't take our eyes off the fact that we need this to be very profitable, to prove that this is worth changing your business model to produce in this way. And if we all did that, we wouldn't need charity. And I believe that the fashion industry has the ability to be able to solve some of the greatest issues we face today. I mean, just the environmental issues that we're facing. Fashion has a very big stake in that, and we can make big change just through fashion. But then on a social level, and poverty, we can attack poverty. They are the people that we use to produce our clothes all the way around the world. And so if we go, my brand must change the lives of the people that creates it. It must be as beneficial for them as it is for the end consumer and for us as a brand. And if we have that mentality, everything will change. And I know that. I mean, I have not met a brand owner yet that isn't someone who wants to see that happen.
Oh, 100%.
So I'm really excited that the future is really bright for fashion.
100%. I mean, as we were talking before, like, we do charities. My cousin has cystic fibrosis, and raising money for that. And he was telling me last year, because he has to go into hospital quite a bit and for 2 weeks at a time, and he's like, the gym is shit. And I'm like, all right, well, instead of giving this money to the charity, like to it, I mean, we always help them. We're like, we raised $6,000 at one of the event. We went and bought gym equipment because he's in there and he's training. I mean, obviously what you're doing is making that big change, but even just learning from those steps we're taking and wanting to give back. And we didn't promote it. It wasn't about that. It was more about, we put gym equipment in a gym. Now kids can actually train because they need their heart rate to be up for their lung function and to get the mucus off their lungs. And
it's so good.
You walk into, a really big hospital and they have a couple of weights and an old running machine. I'm like, hang on a minute, what the...
Yeah.
Shouldn't they have like the best of the best, because fitness is the biggest thing for their health? And so it's like giving back, and it just gives you that sense. And if we can everyone keeps doing that and making those big changes, especially what you're doing. I mean, I've learned so much just from hanging with you for an hour and what we're trying to learn as a brand on those steps to making those changes. It's, man, it's inspiring.
Well, mate, if we all just do those bits, we're doing our small bit and you're doing yours as well. And if we all, get in there together and do that, we can make a big change. And, things like what you've just mentioned, there are so many needs around us, and we all have a resource somewhere that we could use to be able to meet that need or part of that need.
100%.
And really that's what charity is. And, we form charities because we need some sort of distribution for that, but we are faced with that every single day, that you're helping your cousin and then all these other people as a result of being exposed to it by your cousin, so
and we created a platform where it was a Beats and Eats event. We had 450 people at one of them, and a lot of kids with CF there, which was awesome to give them a night and just create something which raised money for an event. And then where does that money go? Which I'm always, where does the money go to a charity? So I'm like, we got to spend this on something physical so we know it's going. So people that donated know that the money's been bought for something, because I think that's a big thing. But like you said, if everyone bands together and makes those small changes, and it's hard, trying to run an event for a charity or trying to, run off that and work that and build your purpose. It's a lot more work than just selling something and saying, buy my product. But I think it gives you that self-satisfaction that you're being able to work on a purpose and help somebody bigger. And when you want to inspire people to be better and greater, and for you do for wanting to inspire people to chase the vibe, it's to get out and do things. It's for something greater than just making something for the sake of it.
I think that's what I love about your brand and what you've spoken to me about already this morning, is that it's about something way greater than producing a great t-shirt or cool hat. It's a lifestyle, and bringing people into that and encouraging them on that journey. And, I see you guys do that really well. And so I think, we don't need to get stuck on it's our give back or our charity or that part. That is probably part of it, but it's this greater thing, of encouraging people in their life and their journey that they're on and what it is that they want to achieve. And
100%.
LSKD does that,
and I look at when, we grew up both trying to make it as athletes, and when you stop that, you got to keep doing stuff. And I think I went mountain biking this morning, and I'm at like my happiest when I'm doing something. You're out with your friends, you're riding with your family, you're training. I got to do a half marathon this year, and actually you feel good, like it just keeps you stronger and stronger, because you get that strong mind and you inspire people to want to do more, so if they're doing something, you want to be the brand of choice that they get to, I want to wear that to go and do that, but it's making them go and do something instead of just sitting at home. And then it inspires me to go, well, I want to go out and do more things and inspire people, whether it's I'm going down the triathlon and half marathons, and I want to do different events, just because I've, coming from a background of, action sports or racing motocross, you got that edge, you want to keep going, but also you're almost trying to inspire people to want to keep doing, because it inspires you when you see somebody do something.
Absolutely,
It creates that bigger part to it.
Yeah, well, I need a little more inspiration on the, I lay in bed this morning as my alarm went off thinking I could get up and exercise, but...
I got a text message of Isaac, our producer, saying, let's mountain bike. I'm like, okay. As long as my wife didn't mind that she could help with the little one earlier this morning, I was mountain biking.
Yeah, totally.
But don't worry, we can go training.
Yeah.
We can do a session. You got the hotels to training, because it takes time.
It does, yeah. Well, actually, I think that's one of the advantages of traveling, is that you've got a hotel gym often, and and you are bored and on your own, and a lot of the time. So you do go and exercise, but I find when I come home, it's like, well, could lie in bed a bit longer and wait for my little girls to wake up and run into bed and cuddle them, it's
I'm not going to get up an hour earlier yet.
Yeah, totally. The jet lag helps for the first week, because you're up at like 3 a.m, so you're home by 5, and no one's awake yet.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah. Or you're on your emails working and you're like, hang on, I need to go exercise.
Yeah.
Quick, I gotta go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's good.
And I mean, being, something that I like to ask is, what sort of advice could you give to any, entrepreneur trying to take it to that next level? What advice could you give to somebody?
Man, you got to know your why. You got to know why you do it. That's what's going to drag you through the challenges in life, and if you're doing it out of a motivation which is weak, you probably won't make it. I think because of the experience I had when I saw that little girl for sale, and it hit me so deeply, I still picture her. And today, I mean, I've told this story thousands of times, and I still feel emotion when I tell it.
Yeah.
If I picture her, and I can picture her standing scared on the street. And now, because I have little girls, my why is really, really deeply ingrained in me, that no matter how challenging this gets, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to have this impact. I'll do everything that's within me to make sure that I get there. And just like, Tyrone, we just spoke about, I saw that in him as an 18-year-old kid, that I will succeed. I can,
no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what,
no matter how hard it gets.
Yeah. And so knowing your why will mean that you're prepared to grind it out.
Yeah.
And without that, you just won't grind it out because it's way too hard.
Yeah. I love that, bro.
Yeah.
You're totally right though. You're totally right.
Yeah.